Sabotage, this is Jeff. It's the Devlog 4. The house streams along with them. Today, the floor is going to become lava. In a puzzle inside the living room dream. Quite appropriately, there is a lava lamp, and if you click on it, as the observation has said, floor is lava! And if you step on the lava, the floor is not lava. So let's see how I did this. First, let's check out the material. In the lava lake material, we have different layers of noise that are crisscrossing each other. And in addition to that, it's using some of the distance fields to change the cheap contrast when there is an object nearby. As it gets closer to the surface of the material, it's actually changing the blending between the blue and the red. Do a little lit mode here for extra fanciness. There we go. The material instance of the lava lake that I'm using here is a beautiful blue and red. You might be asking yourself, why is it blue and red? Is it because of Doom? Yes! This is fire blue. Beautiful, beautiful fire blue from Mount Erebus. There's a few different things that are really important to sell the illusion of the lava, one of which is the sparks of the heat distortion coming off of the ground plane here. This is achieved with some fun special effects got from an asset pack, but the actual plane itself is humorously just following the player. Although it is locked at a certain Z value, so by jumping up and down, the sparks are not jumping with you. Sparks are also particles that are created in world space, so that as the box that spawns them moves along with the player, it does not actually move the particles themselves. Here's an excerpt from the Particles That Follow blueprint. This is the thing that is actually attached to the player and creating the sparks and the heat distortions through a Niagara system, which we can look in here. Double click. Let's take a gander. Compiling. There we go. This does not have the sound effects on it, but you can feel the heat coming through it. This is looping. In the Niagara particle system itself, in the splash version of the system here, we got the little bloops of lava happening. There is a callback that is being sent to the blueprint, which we'll check out in a second here. So that as one of these particles spawns, there is a callback handler, user-defined here, so that in the Particles That Follow blueprint, which is being set up here in the Begin Play event, when this is happening, a event inside the Particles blueprint is called, and a single crackling spark sound plays. This is so that there is somewhat of a correlation between the sparks as you see them, as they're being created, and the sound effects of the sort of small little pips and taps of sound effects popping around as the lava boils around you. The overall effect is, of course, that you have a deep rumble in the background, and then scattered around in the surround sound from right and left, depending on where they're spawning in. You'll get tiny little blips of audio. Let's check out the actual collision of what's going on with the floor here. There's a living room puzzle blueprint that is currently checking on the tick event every frame, or whether or not main character here, which is currently represented by a small little black dot shadow, is touching the lava or not. Set up a breakpoint here. The event check is touching lava floor. There's a pure function is touching lava floor that is constantly being checked. In this case, the answer is yes. Lava is being touched. You can see here that has to do with whether or not a line trace to the ground down from the player's collision, which is handled here, is interacting with anything that has the tag living room floor. Since it is true, we're going to start a timer. This is the grace period for touching the lava. In this case, it is going to be 0.2 seconds. It will try and check again after that time. And if you're still on lava, then it will tell it to shut the lava off, and the lava lamp will turn back on. But if in that span of 0.2 seconds you end up not on lava, then it will not actually turn it off. What this looks like in-game is such. So let's test that by standing on the lava, and then quickly running across to touch some other piece of carpet. Yeah. Exactly. That's the grace period in effect. This makes it so that it's less frustrating if you're trying to jump from one place to another and you miss. So if we do it a little bit too slow, 10th of a second goes by, lava turns off, lava lamp comes back on, lava is contained once again. There's a few things that help the player be less frustrated when trying to solve this puzzle. One we just discussed, of course, was the grace period on the lava for 0.2 seconds. Another one is the helpful little dot shadow, which tells you exactly what is considered what you're standing on, as you are just, in this moment, floating dot, essentially. This will help it so that you know exactly where you're going to be placed down. And finally, the third thing that is helping out is cardboard. Because as everyone always knows, if you touch the floor, which is lava, you will of course die. But anything that is on the floor is not lava and is safe. It does not matter the material. In this case, cardboard, perfectly fine. Use this to build bridges. The ethos behind the design of the puzzle, though, is that unlike in real life, where often you would be jumping from couch cushion to couch cushion, regional variants, of course, exist. For all the puzzles that I made in this game, I wanted them to be parkour optional as an accessibility feature, which is why things like this little stack of books exist and the cardboard, so that if you needed to get across the entire room, you don't actually have to use a jump button. You can do it by simply walking and getting to where you need to go to solve the puzzle. In this case, solving the puzzle requires finding some objects around the room, little remote controls, like this little guy here. Another important part of the accessibility of this puzzle is that the colors are not needed to solve the puzzle, but they do help. If you find it's easier to make correlations with the colors, the color bars, and things like that, then it's perfectly fine. However, it is also colorblind friendly because each of the colors is paired up with a symbol, in this case a letter, sometimes an X, sometimes a number. This makes it so that hopefully anyone can get to the end without being too stumped. That is all for this devlog for the house streams along with them. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you were inspired. Hopefully you learned something. If something I did was something that you didn't know you could do, then great. Now you can go try it yourself in your own Unreal projects. If you saw something here and you're like, oh, that's completely wrong, I would do it a different way. That still counts as inspiration. That still counts. Good luck making your own video games.